is out doing ministry. So I'm by myself today, but bless her heart, she has a big heart. Her heart is bigger than Florida. Actually, she's out doing ministry work, and she'll be out next week also doing ministry work, which is a great thing. So, but she's with me in spirit. So, but anyway, guys, I'm glad to be here today. Just talking to you guys about marriage. This topic, this great thing called marriage, and I thank God for the opportunity. Every week, every day actually, he uses us as his children, and if we answer the call, he gets the glory. So thank you, Lord. And I thank all the listeners out there who listening faithfully every week to Marriage in a Minute. We are here to encourage you in your marriage. And today we're talking not only to married couples, we're also talking to the ones out there who are planning to get married. I'm sure one day all of you will be married, or if you decide not to, you know somebody else who will get married or is married. So you could give them some advice. Well, anyway, so last week we talked about loving them through who they are and not for who they are. And we're going to continue finishing off that topic this week. And we talk about that word called love all the time. We go around and we say, I love you. And it's all over the place, that word. But do we really know what love is? Listen to this verse. First Peter 2, verse 23 says, and while being reviled, he did not revile in return. While suffering, he uttered no threats, but kept entrusting himself to him who judges righteously. That's First Peter 2:23. So in listening to that verse, you hear what love really is. First Corinthians 13, verse 48 is another great scripture to read to find out what love really is. Because today we use that word so loosely. That's what I call it. Because, telling someone you love them, but not actually loving them, it's not the same thing. It actually lets the person, well, for the topic of marriage, you tell your spouse, I love you, but you don't show them that fact. It's telling them that you don't love them, if you think about it. So, loving them through who they are and not for who they are. Uh, you're loving them despite or regardless of or in spite of or even though or although. Those words come into play because you're not going to feel like loving every day. That's why it's called love. It's sacrificial. So this one phrase that I'm going to have you guys think about all the time is denying self. Denying self. Love is not about you. You want love, but you have to show love also. All right. So think about First Peter 2:23. Jesus was reviled. He was rebuked. He was rejected. He was going through all these things, but yet he still showed love to even the ones who were doing these bad things to him. So in the aspect of marriage, you're going to sometimes go through that same persecution from your spouse, for a lack of a better word. Your spouse is going to upset you at times. Your spouse is not going to, treat you with love all the time. Because guess why? They're imperfect. But guess what? You are imperfect also. So you're not going to show love all the time. Now, if your spouse is not showing you love or respect, what God is saying to you is you show them love or respect. That's basically loving them through who they are, not for who they are at the moment. I remember when you first get married or you're dating, it's very easy to show love because you're looking forward to this life with this person. But sometimes when life gets tough, when things get the reality of life kicks in, kids are in the family, and work come into play, and you're living together with different personalities and all that. You're gonna have opposition. You're gonna have, and guess who's behind it? The enemy. So your wife or your husband is a good person, but the enemy in them for that moment sometimes causes them to not show you the love that you want. In the meantime, you have to remember that you have to be like Christ, show them love, because guess why? Love always wins. The only thing in this life that will win or overcome is love. A lot of times we get deceived thinking that if we show hate to somebody who doesn't show us love, it's going to fix the problem. But guess what? It makes it worse. It's like you throw kerosene oil on, in Jamaica, we say we throw kerosene oil on the fire. So it blows up even more. So what I'm encouraging you guys, and Michelle and I have learned this over the years that, no matter what it is, it could be something small, a harsh word is said. I may say something to Michelle that she doesn't like. Picture if she retaliates by saying something back to me that I don't like. Then where do we go from there? Right? So the key is, and that's what the mystery of marriage and love is, you have to overcome hate with love. The enemy wants you to try to overcome hate with hate, and that's what the world does. In marriage, I was just watching a video the other day with husband and wife getting a divorce, and throughout their marriage, they showed videos, and you could hear the recordings of how they were talking to each other, and it was very bad. It was like almost like a fist fight, so to speak. So in a Christian home, so to speak, in a Christian marriage, we can't be like the world, because love wins, hate loses. So they ended up getting a divorce. Now, when I say loving them through who they are and not for who they are, I'm not saying to love them through just about every single thing, because there are situations that you can't live with. Abuse, for example, continuous abuse, physical, mental. That's something that now that's a different topic. But I'm talking about, you know, everyday life stuff where you go through hard times with each other. You're gonna have hard times. So, you know, you still have to love them, because you also need love to survive the marriage. You're looking for your spouse to love you the same. So that's what I mean when I say loving them through who they are and not for who they are. Um, it's in spite of or regardless of what they do or how they talk to you, or not showing you the respect that you deserve. But you can't fight back with hate. Um, and listen to this: for a marriage to work, love is needed. I'm gonna say that again. If marriage is going to work, love is needed. Marriage cannot work without love, just as it cannot work without respect. So remember this one thing: when you get married, or if you're planning to get married, you're going to go through situations where you have to show love. That's what drives the marriage. And the reason I'm keep talking about this word love all the time is because, you know, from speaking to couples, from, listening to couples, the word love is used in such a way that it's not really what it is. And that's what I'm trying to drive home. If you want your marriage to really work, picture both husband and wife sacrificing themselves to show love. You're going to end up where both are showing love. It's going to be beautiful. I'm not saying it's easy. That's the reason why it's sacrificial. I'm not saying it's easy, and that's the reason you have to die to your own self. You have to sacrifice self. So if you're thinking self in marriage, you're gonna have a hard time. So guys, if you're listening out there and you're not married, I'm just encouraging you. Marriage is very beautiful. God created it to be beautiful, but um, you're gonna have to work. And a part of working in marriage is showing love when you don't feel like it. Listen to this phrase: real love loves even when real love does not feel like loving. Think about that. Real love loves even when real love does not feel like loving. That says it all to me. I hope it says it all to you. So there are going to be times when you don't feel like showing kindness, goodness, faithfulness. But real love shows kindness, goodness, faithfulness, patience, all those things that First Corinthians 13 talks about. Real love shows those things even when you don't feel like doing it. And that's what overcomes the plan of the enemy. The enemy doesn't want you to do that. God's word is put into place for you guys in your marriage, in your life, but for the context of marriage, for your marriage to work. And remember, you are going to have to sacrifice. So you're going to have great times in your marriage, which some of you already know. Michelle and I went through some valley experiences in our marriage. I call them like in a dungeon. But we learned shortly after that we had to show love in the valley to be on top of the mountain. And you will be on top of the mountain in your marriage if you follow what God says, right? So I'm just encouraging you guys in that aspect. So remember, you want your spouse to show you love despite your flaws, because we all have flaws, right? So you want your spouse to show you love. Guess what? You have to do the same. Or else, guess what it turns into? Self. If you want love for yourself, but you don't want to show love, are we talking about real love? That's selfishness. And selfishness cannot drive a great marriage. That's the reason, again, why it's sacrificial. So don't forget that word, dying, that phrase actually, dying to self, sacrificing. Those are the two things you're going to have to do. And if you do that and you practice it consistently, after a while, it's going to become a part of your marriage. It's going to become a part of your your relationship with your spouse. And of course, you're going to have times when you're going to fall down in that area, but you jump right back up. Forgive me, I'm sorry, and you go back and you show love. What ends up happening a lot of times is this crazy cycle happens where one spouse feels like they're not getting that attention, that love that they desire, so they in turn stop showing it. That's called a crazy cycle you're getting into. Somebody has to break it. If you stay in that cycle, it ends up in divorce, and that's what usually happens. So just think about it that way. Think about what love really is. you know um I have learned that in my marriage to Michelle for 21 years, that a lot of times we'll say something to each other in a bad way, but it doesn't dictate your whole relationship. You have to bounce back. Remember that you are a child of God, first of all, and if you're out there and you're not serving Christ, now is a great time for you to give your life to Christ, because if you don't do that in your marriage, you're going to have bigger problems. We all have issues in our marriage, but there's a hope when you are a child of God. When both spouses are serving Christ and living in a home and in a relationship where God is with them both, there's a solid foundation. There's this three chord, what do you call it? Like when you plait your hair. When a woman plait their hair, they do it in a three strand. That's what I call it. There's this powerful thing that your marriage is not easily shaken. So it's a growing thing. It's a learning thing. It's a journey. Marriage is a journey, and if you give up, you'll never see the goodness of it, the love and harmony and the peace that you can get from it, the victory that you can get to overcome the enemy. If you give up, don't give up, just keep fighting. You're gonna have good times, like I said. You're gonna have bad times. It's in the bad times when you really need to show love, because guess what? It's very easy to show love when everything is going fine, right? Remember the dating time, remember the honeymoon. But when real life hits, that's the time you need to show love. That's the time you overcome the enemy in your marriage, because it's not you and it's not really your spouse. Sometimes we allow the enemy, but it's really that devourer behind your spouse who is causing the problem. So remember, you were created to kill. And when I say kill, I mean kill the flesh. Get rid of the worldly thoughts in your marriage. God has a plan for you and your spouse that is so great. He did that with Michelle and I, and he still does it. See, right now we're talking to you guys on the radio. I never knew this would happen years ago when Michelle and I got married, but there's a plan and a purpose. I don't know what yours is, but God knows. So stay the course. I'm encouraging you guys. Things will get better. It always gets better, but you have to put the work in. And Michelle and I are always praying for you guys for marriages. We constantly pray for marriages, and keep us in prayer too, because we're human just like you. But we just want you guys to understand that we love you and we're praying for you. We're praying for every marriage. All right, guys. So I'm about at the end of the program, Marriage in a Minute, and once again, let me just say we're really grateful for you guys to listen in every Saturday at 3:30 p.m. to us on Marriage in a Minute. Do you have a question? If you have a question, email us at karim.hyatt@gmail.com, CARIM dot HYATT@gmail.com. A question, a comment, anything that you related to marriage, or you want an answer, or you're going through something, you could remain anonymous. When we come on the air, we won't call any names, but we just want to hear from you guys. We want to know that you guys are encouraged. And remember, check out our website, www.marriagevantagepoint.com. And remember, you are the MVP in your marriage, both of you, husband and wife. Marriage starts with an M, Vantage starts with a V, Point starts with a P. So it's MVP. You're the MVP in your marriage. Check out that website. www.marriagevantagepoint.com. There are many great resources for you to help you in your marriage to reach that point where you'll see that glory, that victory, that peace, that love, that joy. But you have to put in the work. All right, guys. Well, thank you guys for listening to Marriage in a Minute. I hope you were encouraged. Join us next Saturday at 3:30 p.m. on Omega Radio Broadcasting Network. Love you guys.
All right, Omega listeners, you were just tuned in to Marriage in a Minute right here on Omega Radio. We want to say thank you so much to Karim Hyatt for calling in today and speaking to you all. We ask that you'll go ahead and tune in next week, Saturday, at the same time of 3:30 p.m. until 3:45 for Marriage in a Minute right here on Omega Radio. So thank you so much for tuning in today, and thank you so much to the Hyatts for being a sponsor towards Omega Radio. And of course, make sure you tune in next week, Saturday, to catch this program once again. We're going to go ahead and turn you back over to your normal scheduling now, but go ahead and stay locked in and stay tuned in to Omega Radio. So right now, we're going to go ahead and take a quick sponsors break, but go ahead and stay tuned in.
So you better get Omega Radio would like to welcome our newest sponsor.